As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. That's how Goodfellas opens. And for millions of people, it was the moment they realized this wasn't just another mob movie. But what most fans don't know is that behind the camera, the film was just as wild, dangerous, and unpredictable as the world it was portraying. From shocking betrayals in real life, to lost millions, to actors obsessing over tiny details, this story runs way deeper than the movie you think you know. So let's dive into the hidden truths, scandals, and unbelievable secrets behind Goodfellas, facts that will completely change how you see it. The Oscars snubbed Scorsese. Let's start with Hollywood itself. When Goodfellas hit theaters in 1990, critics instantly called it a masterpiece. Many said it was the best mob movie since The Godfather. And yet, when awards season came around, the Academy treated it like a side project. The movie earned 6 nominations at the Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Supporting Actress. But when the night ended, the film walked away with just a single award: Joe Pesci for Best Supporting Actor. Even that win was legendary. Pesci walked on stage, grabbed the statue, and gave a 5-word speech. "It is my privilege. Thank you." That was it. The shortest Oscar speech in history. Later, he admitted he never expected to win and didn't want to make a big scene. But critics were furious at the Academy for downplaying a film that redefined the crime genre. And yet, the Oscar snub was just the beginning. The real Henry Hill after the movie. The true story behind Goodfellas came from Henry Hill, a mob associate who flipped on his crew and joined the Witness Protection Program in 1980. You'd think he'd lay low after testifying against the mob. But Henry wasn't built for quiet living. While under protection with his wife Karen and their kids, he couldn't resist the spotlight. He'd brag to neighbors about his past, give interviews, and even get arrested on drug charges. Eventually, the government kicked him out of witness protection altogether for being too reckless. Did that stop him? Not even close. Henry wrote books, launched his own pasta sauce brand called Wise Guy, and appeared on television and radio shows. He kept milking his mob past until his death in 2012. But while Henry couldn't stay hidden, other mob secrets were even harder to believe. The affair that shattered trust. In the movie, Paulie Cicero is portrayed as a quiet father figure to Henry Hill, someone who looks out for him. But in real life, the man Paulie was based on Paul Vario, had a secret relationship with Henry's wife Karen. Henry himself revealed it years later. While he was locked up, Paul Vario was having an affair with Karen behind his back. For Henry, this betrayal wasn't just personal. It was another reason to walk away from the mafia life altogether and cooperate with the FBI. It's ironic. The man who was supposed to be his mentor was sleeping with his wife, pushing Henry further into disillusionment. And yet, this wasn't the only betrayal tied to Goodfellas. The Lufthansa heist. Millions gone missing. One of the biggest crimes mentioned in Goodfellas is the Lufthansa heist at JFK Airport in December of 1978. A crew led by Jimmy Burke stole $5 million in cash and nearly $1 million in jewels. At the time, it was the largest cash robbery in American history. But here's the twist: the money was never found. After the robbery, Burke started killing off anyone involved, terrified that someone might rat him out. The FBI couldn't build a solid case because witnesses kept turning up dead. Decades later, in 2014, a mobster named Vincent Asaro was arrested, accused of taking part in the heist. Prosecutors claimed he pocketed $750,000 from the job. But when the trial ended, the jury acquitted him. Even Henry Hill had denied Asaro's involvement. To this day, the money is still missing, and the Lufthansa heist remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in crime history. But it wasn't just real crimes that made Goodfellas unforgettable. Scorsese also broke Hollywood's rules in ways that shocked audiences. Editing chaos. A cinematic panic attack. The final scenes of Goodfellas show Henry Hill spiraling into paranoia, convinced helicopters are following him. What makes the sequence so powerful is how it was edited. Scorsese's longtime editor, Thelma Schoonmaker, admitted they intentionally broke the rules. Instead of smooth cuts, they used jump cuts, overlapping sound, and erratic pacing to mimic the chaos inside Henry's head. At first, test audiences hated it. Some complained it was too messy, too overwhelming. But Scorsese doubled down, tightening the cuts to make it even more uncomfortable. The result? Viewers felt like they were having a panic attack right alongside Henry. It's now considered one of the most groundbreaking editing choices in modern film. But that wasn't the only way Goodfellas pushed boundaries. The violence that almost destroyed the film. When Scorsese first submitted the movie to the MPAA, the rating board nearly killed it. The violence was so graphic that they threatened to give it an NC-17 rating, which would have meant financial death. Scorsese was forced to make cuts to 10 different violent scenes. He didn't remove them entirely, he just shortened the bloodiest moments so they'd pass with an R rating. Even then, the film still shocked audiences with its brutality. One scene in particular, the murder of Billy Batts, was horrifying because it was so real. In the movie, Pesci's character pistol whips Batts into unconsciousness. In reality, Tommy DeSimone beat him so savagely that he actually broke his gun during the attack. The real Henry Hill later said the film's version was almost exactly how it went down in real life. And while that scene rattled audiences, what happened on set sometimes rattled the actors even more. Accidents and injuries on set. Michael Imperioli, who played Spider, was supposed to get shot and collapse during his scene. In one take, he fell backward too hard, crashing into a glass bar. His hand was sliced open by broken glass, and he had to be rushed to the emergency room for stitches. Here's the crazy part. Because he was still covered in fake blood from the scene, the hospital staff thought he had been shot multiple times. They rushed him to the front of the line before he finally explained, "No, I'm an actor, I just cut my hand." It was one of many moments where the line between acting and reality blurred in dangerous ways. Obsession, behind the performances. Robert De Niro is known for his method acting, but his preparation for Goodfellas took things to another level. His character, Jimmy Conway, was based on the real-life mobster Jimmy Burke. To nail the performance, De Niro actually got in touch with Henry Hill, who was still in witness protection. With FBI approval, he called Henry on monitored phone lines, asking for details about Burke's mannerisms. Henry later said De Niro obsessed over small things, like how Jimmy held a cigarette or poured ketchup. He'd call multiple times a day just to confirm tiny habits. Ray Liotta went just as deep for his role. He listened to hours of FBI wiretap recordings of Henry Hill, studying his speech patterns and nervous energy. Liotta would drive to the set, blasting the tapes in his car, mimicking Henry's voice until it felt second nature. Even Lorraine Bracco, who played Karen Hill, almost turned down the role because she didn't want to be another mob wife stereotype. But when she realized Karen was one of the only female narrators in Scorsese's films, she took the part. Her performance earned her an Oscar nomination. The cast wasn't just acting, they were living these characters. And Scorsese himself added a personal touch to make sure it all felt real. Scorsese's family in the movie. If you've seen Goodfellas, you probably remember the scene where Tommy stops by his mother's house in the middle of the night after nearly killing Billy Batts. That sweet, unsuspecting Italian mother? That was Martin Scorsese's real mom, Catherine. And she wasn't just acting, she actually cooked the sauce for the scene, because Scorsese didn't trust the props department to make authentic Italian food. His father, Charles, also appeared in the film, playing a mobster in the prison cooking scene. Behind the scenes, he was the one who starched all the shirt collars for the actors, making sure they looked just like the sharp dressers Scorsese remembered from his Little Italy childhood. It wasn't just a movie, it was a family project. The real gangsters versus the movie versions. Joe Pesci's Tommy DeVito might be one of the scariest characters in mob film history. Short, loud, funny, and unpredictable. But the real Tommy DeSimone was nothing like that physically. In reality, he was 6'2", built like a boxer, and known to be even more terrifying than what we saw on screen. He was infamous for his lack of impulse control. Henry Hill later said that even other mobsters thought Tommy was unhinged. His violent streak eventually got him killed, lured to a meeting and executed for unauthorized murders. His body was never found. And while the movie paints Henry Hill as someone who never personally killed anyone, Henry later admitted in interviews that he had taken lives under orders. He never gave names, and no evidence surfaced, but the confession shocked fans who thought he was just a hustler caught up in the mob. The reality was darker than the movie. The disaster test screenings. When Goodfellas first had a test screening in 1990, the reaction was brutal. People walked out in the first 10 minutes, disgusted by the violence and language. At the opening scene where Billy Batts gets stabbed and shot, a Warner Brothers executive reportedly turned pale. Scorsese wasn't surprised. In fact, he admitted that he wanted to shock audiences right away. His philosophy was simple: seduce them with style, then take them apart with it. It was a risky gamble, but in the end, it worked. After some recuts and adjustments, the film premiered to critical acclaim. And today, Goodfellas is regarded as one of the greatest films ever made. Conclusion. From Oscar controversies to missing millions, from hospital trips to family cameos, the story of Goodfellas is almost as insane as the story it tells. What started as a crime drama became a legend, one that blurred the line between fact and fiction, and forced Hollywood to push the limits of what was acceptable. And maybe that's why, more than 30 years later, we're still uncovering secrets about it. Because Goodfellas wasn't just a movie. It was a mirror held up to a world most people were never meant to see.